Well, the NBA is the gift that keeps on giving, and on Sunday, we will have a game 7 between the Thunder and the Nuggets. And the Nuggets take care of business at home in game 6 in order to force that game 7. Now, in this game, Jamal Murray, before the game, was questionable with an illness, and he said after the game that, there was no way he was going to miss this game, and he played like it. He was amazing to start this game. He was just on fire, driving, catching some and ones, hitting a couple of jump shots, and really just looking like himself. After he went to the bench for his first stint, he did look a little tired, but, ended up not affecting him for the rest of the game. And really, to start this game, the role players for Denver were really, really good. MPJ hit a 3. Christian Brown was playing amazing as well. He finishes with 23 points and 11 rebounds. And also, Aaron Gordon was pretty good in this game. He wasn't amazing or anything like that, but to start this game, he did have a pretty good impact in that first quarter. And when you look at OKC, they were down by 10 at one point in the first quarter. And then, they had some subs come in the game. And really, I hate to say this, but when Russell Westbrook checked in for the Nuggets, he's been up and down in these playoffs. He was not good in that first quarter. And the Thunder ended up going on an 8-1 run to cut this game down. And they made their move at the end of the first quarter. And to start the second quarter, at least, OKC carried that momentum from the end of the first quarter that they had just by creating turnovers and using their hands on defense to force some turnovers to get out to fast break opportunities. Sometimes they had to slow the ball down and get back in their half-court offense, but majority of the time, if they had a steal tonight, they were getting back and making layups, getting dunks, getting good shots off of it. And once they got in the half court, Denver ended up getting into a zone, which was interesting because a lot of teams in the playoffs this year have been running a zone. And I feel like that's something that has been trending more and more, but it's like every single team has run a zone in these playoffs, which is crazy because there's going to be weak links defensively. And in some of these series, there is some superstars offensively that you really just can't have match up with anybody. No matter how good they are, you're going to have to bring help. That's what you have to do against Jokic. That's what OKC has done with their zone. But tonight, Denver was running a zone of their own, and they ran it majority of the game, honestly. They would switch, back and forth, but ended up throwing a zone at OKC a few times. And in the second quarter, it wasn't really giving them any troubles. Now, something that was giving the Thunder troubles was the amount of fouls that their guys were picking up. And unfortunately, Shea was one of those guys who he was huge in his second quarter. He was amazing, honestly. He picked up his third foul with 4 minutes left, but man, he had a really good second quarter, and he had 8 points in 1 minute at one time in that second quarter, and it really looked like he was trying to, will this team to the Western Conference Finals, where they haven't been before as a group. The last time they've been to the Western Conference Finals was with Westbrook and KD, I believe, in 2016. That's when they blew the 3-1 lead. Not great. But it's been a while since they've been there. It's been 9 years, and they're trying to do that on Sunday, but it really looked like that in the second quarter that Shea was going to get them there until he picked up his fourth foul. And Denver was down by, I believe, double digits when he picked up his fourth foul. Isaiah Hartenstein had 3 fouls. So a lot of foul trouble for them. And, as soon as Shea went to the bench, OKC definitely took advantage. 12-0 run from them to get back into this game and tie it up at one point at 58 apiece. And then Lou Dort hit a corner 3 to bring OKC into the second half with a 3-point lead. 61-58 was the score. But it was a really good first half for OKC until Shea picked up his fourth foul. And it was just a silly foul. He thought he got fouled, so he fouls Jokic and ends up picking up his fourth foul. It's just something you can't do, especially when you're the best player on your team, especially when you're the most reliable player on your team like Shea is. You'll see that later in this game tonight that just they needed him for that few minute stretch, and unfortunately they were not able to have him. Now in that third quarter, Jamal Murray, he started off hot in the first quarter, and he also started off hot in this third quarter and really just brought that effort and intensity that you didn't know if he was going to have with that illness. SGA also just continued to be great in the second half. He picked up where he left off before picking up his fourth foul, and it really looked like he was going to try and will them into this game again, and he really was. OKC was really getting the ball downhill and into the middle of that Denver zone, finding a dunker spot or kicking out to an open 3-point shooter, which I won't lie, they struggled a lot from three this game, especially in the fourth quarter. But in that third quarter, they were getting the ball to the middle of the zone, finding easy layups in the dunker spot. They just missed a few, which you just cannot have happening. And then Jokic started to get going in the third quarter as well, got a few layups. Didn't hit his first three-pointer yet. But MPJ, he hit a few jumpers in this game in this quarter as well, and that really helped them. Christian Brown, he was great in the third quarter. There was just a really good just back and forth between these two teams in that third quarter, and Denver ended up actually holding OKC to only 21 points after they scored 61 in that first half, which was really good defense from Denver and really a sign of a championship team. Even though I don't think they're the deeper team in this series, they have more consistent role players, I would say, with Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown. Well, Christian Brown's been a little inconsistent this series, but he's been better than some of the players on OKC have. But Jamal Murray is the second option. He's definitely a better second option than J-Dub or Chet. Those guys have had their struggles in this series. And you can't have that. When you are a 68-win team, they need to help Shea. They haven't. There's a reason why this is going to 7 games. And the fourth quarter was really from the time Shea picked up his fourth foul to the end of this game, the game changed. But if there was a second kind of change in this fourth quarter or in this game, it was the beginning of the fourth quarter. J-Dub, he ends up, I think he got a steal. He's going the other way. It's looking like OKC is going to climb their way back into it. They've been down by 10. They've been down by 11, 9. So they get a steal. J-Dub, he's going to go in for a layup. He trips or something, and he gets blocked by Peyton Watson, who just gave incredible effort. And he has struggled this series offensively and hasn't done a ton defensively, but made a really good block right there. And that kind of changed the momentum of this game. It felt really deflating for OKC when J-Dub ended up getting that layup swatted. He also missed a dunk in this game too. I believe it was in this fourth quarter. He just had a fast break and he just short-armed it and it went off the back of the rim. It was against Jamal Murray. Like, he's not providing any rim protection, rim deterrence, and he missed it. He was pitiful in this game, and in the fourth quarter in particular, OKC was pitiful as well, outside of Shea. Shea was, he finished with 32 points, and very efficient. He shot almost 70% from the field. He was 11 of 16 from the field, 68.8%, and he ended up losing. He also added 6 assists. That's your star player did enough for you to win that game. But the role players were just not good. Jokic started to get some looks inside, picking up some cheap fouls. I know Shea has the reputation for a foul baiter, but that's kind of what the top guys do. And Jokic was definitely, benefiting from those whistles. He had a few whistles that were a little funky, but, it is what it is. But he had a really good fourth quarter, and he made some really good passes. He had some no-look or a look-off dime to the dunker spot, and I believe it was Christian Brown who laid it in. And then, Julian Strawther, ridiculous minutes for him. I didn't talk about his third quarter, but he had 2 big threes. Then he had a backdoor cut where Jamal Murray found him. He kind of just caught it like this, turned instantly, and then laid it up and in. So he had that 8-point third quarter, and it really swung a ton of the momentum in favor of Denver. And when you have that home crowd, as a role player especially, you're feeling good. And Julian Strawther, he showed that in the third quarter and then continued it in the fourth quarter. Hit another, few big shots. He was getting to the free throw line as well, which is just insane for a role player who hasn't scored much at all in these playoffs. And I think tonight might have been his first points of this series, coming in game 6, which is insane. He was driving, he was getting downhill, he was getting fouled, he was hitting his free throws. It was crazy to see. Julian Strawther finishes, with 15 points, and that's huge. And all of that coming in the second half. So 8 in the third quarter, 7 in the fourth, and he shot 50% from the field, which is really efficient, especially for a role player. You'll take that, and it's helped them win the game. The other stats for the Nuggets: Jokic, 20 29, 14, and 8. I thought this was 24, 29, 14, and 8. And it really didn't even seem like that loud of a Jokic game. But that's kind of the point he's getting to as an offensive engine, which it's not crazy to say he's the best offensive player of all time, just in terms of skill. Like, he probably is. Like, there's nobody else who sleepwalks their way to 29, 14, and 8. Jamal Murray, 25 and 8 with 7 assists. That's really good stuff, especially for someone who was dealing with an illness, and he had a hard time breathing. Didn't have a ton of conditioning, or he had conditioning, but his conditioning wasn't great because of that illness. And you could see sometimes he had to catch his breath, but he was very into this game. I remember on a drive, he thought he got fouled by Jay Will, who had a pretty solid game as well. Thought he got fouled, and he was just yelling at the ref. He was into this game. Next possession, he comes down, gets pushed, sells the call like this, and then he hyped and pushing, and getting loud with the crowd. And Jamal Murray, great game. He has by far been the third best player in this series, no doubt about it. And then Christian Brown, they needed a big game from him. They got a big game from him. 23 points and 11 rebounds on 57% shooting. That's a role player doing that for you. That is huge. MPJ had 10 points. He had a few jumpers. That'll always help, especially if if he hits a few, the defense has to come out and respect him, and you can't really help off of Jokic that much, especially as much as they would like to. But yeah, Porter had a good game. Christian Brown had an amazing game. Like I said, Strother with 15. The Nuggets, they were just more aggressive in this game. They were more disciplined. They hit their free throws a lot better than OKC did. The Nuggets, they shot 32 free throws. That's a lot of free throws. But they made 84% of them. Like, that's really good. They had 3 20-plus point scores. That'll always help you win games in the playoffs, especially when you mix that with, good to solid defense. That'll help you as well. And then for the Thunder, Chet was just terrible in this fourth quarter. In the first half, he was okay, but he was terrible in this fourth quarter. Every time he shot a three, they really needed it, and he was just not able to give it to him. And that's just unfortunate. Caruso, he tried his best at the end. He had like 5 steals. No, not 5 steals, but he had like 3 deflections. He was all over it. He tried, but he could have been a lot better offensively. He just didn't score as much. His impact is always huge on the game. At times they have him guarding Jokic, and he does a good job. But, man, his offense was not good, and really that's everybody outside of Shea did not have a good game offensively. J-Dub, Jalen Williams, dude, the one from Santa Clara, he needs to be a lot better. And if he's not going to be better in Game 7, and they end up losing as a result, he might get shipped, honestly. Giannis might be available this summer. But if J-Dub is not, I get it, he's young. He's kind of an older young guy, if that makes sense. Like, he's still on his rookie contract, but he's older. But 3 for 16 shooting. 0 for 4 from 3, and 3 turnovers. And he just was not good. His defense, though, I will say, it was pretty solid. It was solid to good. But his offensive output, it was terrible. 3 for 16, that's garbage. That is, even if he went 7 for 16, it's still not great. But, that's 4 more shots you make. That's potential 8 more points. And that really would have kept this game a lot closer than it was. And that could have been the difference in the game. Like I said, he missed that layup that got blocked by Peyton Watson. He missed that dunk. He just missed a few layups. And every time he took a mid-range jump shot, it just didn't seem like it was even close. His three-pointers weren't close. He was just really bad tonight. And for that to be your second option, it's unacceptable. And that's really the biggest reason why OKC had lost this game. Their fourth quarter was terrible. Usually they've been great in the fourth quarter, which is crazy to think that this team against a championship level team in Denver who's been there before, who's won it all before, had been owning the fourth quarter in this series. In this game, they finally came down to earth, and they were terrible in that fourth quarter. And overall for the game, they had some really good moments. You see why OKC is so good, and then you can see why people doubt them. And that unfortunately showed tonight in that fourth quarter. Now, their three-point shooting, also just atrocious in this game. In the second half, at one point they were 2 for 18 in the second half from outside, and they ended up finishing 11 for 40, which is 27%. That's terrible. That needs to be like 35 at least, and I mean that's just being a little generous, right? 35%, you probably win the game. They had a ton of open looks. They shot 10 of 16 from the free throw line, which is terrible too. They don't shoot a ton of free throws, relative to what NBA fan thinks for Shea. He was 10. I mean, they were 10 for 16. They were 62.5%. Shea missed a few. He tweaked his hand a little bit in the first half, so he missed 2 after that. But I mean, still, you gotta hit those. I'll give you the first one you miss. The second one, you gotta hit that. They make 3 more of those. J-Dub makes 2 layups. Like, they're in this game. They might win it. It's just little things like that when you're in the playoffs, when you're in these high-stake games. You need to be on top of, more aware of, and just play better in. And they didn't. And that's really the reason why this series is going to 7. They could have taken care of business in 5 or 6, honestly. But some guys haven't stepped up alongside Shea, and that's been their biggest downfall. So we got Game 7 on Sunday, and that'll look to be a good one at home. OKC role players always play good. Expect a big game from Aaron Wiggins. Kassan Wallace, maybe he has a good game, but you gotta have a good game from either Chet and or J-Dub, and I think OKC will probably win this series. But Game 7 experience. Denver Nuggets just played in one. They played in a few of them. But yeah, that game on Sunday, it'll look to be a good one. And whoever advances to play the Wolves, it'll be a great series yet again. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.